Hey guys, Kratos' physique from the recent God of War games has been highly requested, so that's what I'm going to be covering in this video. It's a bit different to the usual like V-taper kind of physique that I usually cover. It's more of a kind of strongman physique in my opinion. He has a lot of the muscles that you tend to see developed on strongmen who do a lot of like carrying, handling really heavy loads and not like focusing on aesthetics so much. So this is a strength physique, I would say. So let's get started with analysing Kratos' physique. This is like a full-on frontal view of his body. We can see like the overall shape. I don't think his legs look particularly big, so we'll just do minimal leg work. He's not super wide really. Certainly he has a very wide waist, that's quite noticeable. So like the V-taper really isn't that important where you have wide shoulders and a narrow waist. That's not really important here. You want your waist to be pretty thick if you want this physique. So don't shy away from like training your obliques, doing rotational ab work and that kind of thing. His arms are solid, his traps are pretty noticeably big, and his shoulders are big too. Solid chest. In this next picture, the lighting is a bit better and we can really see the roundness of his shoulder, like the definition in like his pec and his shoulders, the separation between those two, and his trap, it looks massive. He has some blocky abs we can see, and I really like this one showing us just a silhouette. You can see there's a bit of a V-taper going on, but look how wide his waist is, and the shoulder certainly really important, very round shoulder. Here we get on the left you can see his trap, mountainous, and then the round shoulder. On the top right you can see he has a pretty like thick frame from the side. So a lot of guys, they'll look pretty good from the front, but then they turn to the side and there's just no thickness to them. There's no mass in like their upper back and their upper chest, and their torso, their rib cage just isn't very big. But Kratos certainly seems to be pretty big from every angle. And then this bottom right one we can see from the back, his upper back is really good, triceps are looking really good, his neck is pretty thick too, but his lats I don't think are a standout feature. They're not that important, and you'll probably notice in a lot of these pictures his lats don't really look that wide. His arms are kind of close to his body because his lats aren't like pushing them out that much. In this next one we can see like the texture of his skin. Obviously he's very old at this point, so he has this kind of grainy texture to his skin, and if you're young you're not going to have this kind of skin because you've got lots of collagen in your skin, which makes it look nice and smooth. Kratos is an old man, so his skin doesn't look great. His veins as well, they look like the veins of an old man, but obviously he has a great physique and he's definitely got that like old man strength. Here again, the round shoulders, huge traps, chest is looking really good too. And I don't think his forearms are that big really. They don't look massive, especially like his right forearm on the left side of the image. From this angle, that doesn't look very big. His other arm, the forearm looks bigger, but again, I don't think it's super important for this physique. Here, his waist looks really wide again. Can't see much lat going on. Like there's not that much difference between like his hip width and up to his lats. Like there's not a huge V-taper. Here's a nice upper body shot. His arms look really good here. Look at that shoulder on the left side of the image. That's very round. His abs are pretty defined. His chest is defined. He's very lean, and that's why you can see like all the kind of insertions on his chest, the striations in his chest, his shoulders, and some veins on like his arms, forearms, and his shoulders. Another similar shot. Big shoulders, big traps, big chest, blocky abs, big upper arms. Lats, not that important. Here again, his lats are not flared. His arms are just like tucked by his body. Slightly different angle. His arms look a bit bigger here, and his shoulders again look a bit bigger. You can really see the striations in his chest. I think by now you're getting a good idea of what his physique looks like. Traps and neck looking massive in this picture. His arms are looking not as big, but it could be the angle. And then this last picture, he looks super vascular, really striated because he's like tensing so much. So I think the muscles you should prioritize the most are definitely the traps, shoulders, chest, and the abs. Slightly less important, I would say, are like the upper back and the arms, but they're still pretty important. And then the lowest priorities, which are not that important for this physique, are like the lats, the legs, and the forearms. And you don't need to worry about a V-taper here. You want to build your waist to be as thick as possible if you want to look like this. And also you do need to be quite lean. He certainly has a lot of muscle mass, so you need to probably bulk first for maybe a couple of years to build up that muscle mass and then get really lean to show off the striations and the vascularity. So here's the Kratos physique program. I've included quite a few carries and kind of strongman type movements because those I think will get you close to this kind of physique where you have like huge traps, big upper back, movements that require you to like carry a load in front of you or carry load in your hands. Those kind of strongman movements are going to build those muscles. We'll start off with just squats, pretty heavy squats to build your legs. Obviously during this you're going to be loading your spine and your entire core. You have to brace your whole core to hold like a heavy load on your back, so that's going to grow, the thickness of your waist, which is quite important for this physique. And then after that you can do barbell or trap bar shrugs for your traps, and then bench press for your chest, barbell row for your back. Now we don't care that much about lats, so you can do this kind of quite wide grip if you want to. You can use your upper back more than your lats, so you don't need to tuck your arms close to your sides or anything. And then farmer walk, either with like a trap bar or some dumbbells. For this day, I would prefer you use a trap bar. You can make this like your heavy farmer walk day, and then on Wednesday you do farmer walks again, and you can do a lighter version. And after the farmer walk, then you can do a weighted plank. And again, you're loading like the core, you're teaching yourself and your abs how to brace your entire core, keep yourself stable, which is going to thicken your waist. Then on Tuesday, we can do deadlifts for like your hamstrings, your lower back, your whole posterior chain basically. And also this is going to stretch out the traps a bit, which stretching out a muscle while it's under load is really good for hypertrophy. So things like farmer walks where you're stretching out the traps, that's amazing for traps. Despite not actually contracting the muscle, they're still really going to grow because it's a lot of mechanical tension on the muscle. So deadlifts for like your posterior chain, your grip, your traps. And then dumbbell pullovers, which is one that you might not have heard of. This is where you lay sideways on a bench, so you're on your back laying like across the bench rather than along it. You have a dumbbell in your hands which you hold above your face, and then you slowly lower it with almost straight arms back like behind your head. So this kind of stretches out your lats and your chest. You bring it down behind your head. While you're doing this motion, you bring your hips down, so your spine is kind of bending over the bench beneath you. Your entire front of your body is like opening up. Your rib cage is opening up, and that's the most important thing. You want to breathe in while your hips are going down and the dumbbell is moving behind your head. So you breathe in, really expand your rib cage, completely open up, and then bring the dumbbell back over your face, like without bending your elbows throughout the movement. Your elbows stay in the same position. Bring your hips back up and get back into that starting position. And most people don't notice, but you can actually expand your rib cage. Every time you breathe, your rib cage expands. Like you breathe in, your rib cage gets bigger so that your lungs can fill with air. And if you load the muscles, your intercostal muscles they're called, and your diaphragm, if you load these muscles, then you can actually permanently expand your rib cage. And if you want to learn more about this, you can read the book Super Squats. This is what a lot of the old time strongmen and bodybuilders used to do. Basically really deep breathing under load. So like while your core and your rib cage is under load, that will expand your rib cage. So that's the purpose of these dumbbell pullovers. After that, you can do barbell curls for your biceps, and then seated barbell overhead press for your front delts. I've said seated here because your back will probably be a little bit tired from deadlifting already, so seated takes your lower back out of the equation. And then finish off with lateral raises and bent over lateral raises using dumbbells. Then on Wednesday you can do farmer walks. I would do dumbbell farmer walks on this day. After that, incline dumbbell bench press to hit the upper chest and also your front delts, and then a dumbbell row for your back, great for your grip too. And then overhead triceps extensions with like a dumbbell, barbell or cable, and then cable lateral raise and cable rear delt fly for your side and rear delts, and then Russian twists with like a dumbbell in your hand or a kettlebell in your hands to hit the obliques and to train that kind of rotation function of the abs. And on Thursday you can take a rest day, and on Friday we can do another rib cage expanding exercise, which is a WIDOWMAKER set of squats. That means 20 reps in one set, and the idea here is you pick a weight that you can do 10 reps with, so it's heavy enough that you can only manage like 10, 11, 12 reps, and you start squatting. You take 3 deep breaths between each rep, and this is basically a style of rest pause training, which means you're like doing a rep and then you're resting for a little bit with the weight still on your back, and then you do another rep, and then you take 3 big breaths, which is kind of like a rest, and then you do another rep, and you do that until you've done 20 reps. And basically this forces you to really control your breathing. You're going to be breathing really deeply while the heavy weight is on your back, and that is going to expand your rib cage. Again, Super Squats, the book, talks about this. These are some of the most brutal squat sets you'll ever do, and I highly recommend you try them out. This is going to be amazing for like building a bigger rib cage and bigger waist, and obviously building bigger legs and glutes, and your work capacity and your ability to like breathe and have good endurance throughout the sets, because these are some of the longest sets you'll ever do. After that, you're going to be pretty tired, so we're not going to do any more like really heavy lifting. So you can just do some dumbbell shrugs for your traps, close grip bench press for your triceps, dumbbell curl for your biceps, cable row for your back, and then finish with hanging knee raises for your abs. Then on Saturday, you can do Romanian deadlifts for your hamstrings and basically your whole posterior chain again, like a normal deadlift, but it's a bit less taxing on like your overall recovery. And then Zercher carry, which is where you pick up the bar in front of you, like in the crooks of your elbows. So you're carrying the bar along in your elbows and you walk back and forth for 30 seconds while doing this. This is really good for your upper back. You're probably going to feel it in your front delts and your biceps too, and your abs are going to have to work really hard to kind of keep you upright and stabilize you, and your traps as well. This is going to be another really good one. Basically all carrying exercises are great for like your traps and your upper back and your abs, because you have to stabilize so much. And then you can do some quick sets of push-ups and pull-ups to failure, so we're getting that body weight work in. And then dumbbell lateral raise for your side delts, and finish with face pulls for your rear delts. Great for your posture and building the roundness of those delts, which is important for Kratos physique. Then on Sunday you rest, and I've got these workouts like put on these days, but the days don't really matter. You just have to try and fit in these 5 workouts somewhere in your week. So if you have like other training commitments, you're gonna have to work this program around those. You might have to do a double training day or 2. You might have to reduce your rest days, or maybe skip one of these workouts. So I'll quickly explain how you're going to make progress using this program. Choose a weight that allows you to complete the sets within the rep range that I've selected in the program. And you want to try and max out the rep range. So you do all your sets at the top end of the rep range. So like 4 sets of 8 to 12, you want to get 4 sets of 12. Once you've done that, then you've pretty much mastered that weight, and you can increase the weight a little bit, like by the smallest amount. So move up to like the next dumbbells, or add like 5 pounds or 2.5 kilos to the bar. And this kind of double progression where you're increasing reps, and then once you've maxed out the rep range, you increase weight, that allows you to keep making consistent progress for a really long time. And these are quite long workouts, so you might want to use things like supersets, where you combine 2 exercises together and skip the rest between them in order to speed up the workout, or you can reduce the rest times to the minimum amount that you need to complete the sets with, you know, good form and get the number of reps you need to do. Don't reduce the rest time so much that you have to really drop the weight down, because you want to maintain a good amount of mechanical tension and like heavy weight really on the muscle. But most importantly is just getting close to failure every set with, you know, good form, and making sure that you're making progress every time. So you're increasing the reps by at least like 1 every week, and then once you max out the rep range, you're increasing the weight. Make sure you're eating plenty of food. If you're trying to do this on a deficit, your body's not going to have enough energy left over to build muscle, because it's just trying to like keep itself alive by supporting all your basic functions. Like it doesn't really care about adding muscle to your body if it doesn't have the excess like protein and calories that would allow for that to happen. So you need to do a lean bulk with like 200 to 500 calorie surplus. And if you're doing other training like cardio or martial arts or something, then you're going to have to increase your calories even more, because each of those like training sessions is going to take another few hundred calories, maybe even more. So you have to make up for that if you're also wanting to build muscle on top of it. Building muscle is not a cheap process, and you have to provide your body with the calories and the protein that it needs to build muscle. You can do all the training you like in the gym, but if there's no raw materials for your body to use to make muscle, then it's not going to, and you're just wasting your time. Hopefully with this video, I've given you the tools that you need to start working towards Kratos' physique. If you're watching this, you already know how important like a program is, and having a clear plan of what you're going to do in the gym every time you go in there, the exact weights and reps and sets that you're going to do. You don't want to go into the gym just thinking, I'll wing it, I'm gonna just do what I feel like doing, hit a random number of sets and weight and reps and whatever. You need a clear plan. You need a clear progression scheme. You need to see the numbers increasing over time. So you definitely need to have a workout log where you can see the numbers like going up. You can see your weight getting heavier, the number of reps you're doing getting higher. And if your numbers are consistently going up, then you know you're making progress. You know you're probably building muscle and you're getting stronger, as long as you're eating enough calories and protein to fuel that muscle growth. That's why, in my opinion, the best way to make sure that you're making progress and building muscle is just to look at the numbers going up. If your numbers are going up, then you're making progress. If they're not, then you're probably not building any muscle or getting stronger. So that should be your focus. I hope all these tips and the program was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.